What's up, y'all? This is Anthony James. I got my co-host from the Grindhouse podcast with me this week for the Chop It Up Wednesday, Terrell. Terrell, say what's up to everybody.
Hey,
man.
how you guys doing today? Yes. Let's go.
Special guest today, Derek Draper. He is the voice. I'm gonna call you the voice, Derek, of Wylie High football. Wylie High alumni at the old high school.
At the old high school, that's it.
At the old high
That's
school,
it.
Wylie. Like I said, Baylor Bear alumni. You see his tag. You see the Amo Bear behind him. Derek, how you doing today, man?
Man, I'm doing well. Appreciate you having me on.
Well, listen, I told Terrell, and I know that when he trained your boys and things like that, he was telling me, I was telling him that, it's a lot of the media stuff that I've wanted to do, and I've been watching you from afar. So it's one of those things of, kind of a thing for me where, I definitely love to pick people's brain and people that I admire, and I just appreciate you coming on with us. So I'm gonna let Terrell, because Terrell, he wanted to be here.
Yeah, I had to get here. Like I had, this is what I did, right? So I was in training. I was like, okay, it was like about 12 o'clock. I was like, well, shoot, I want to do this podcast. So I had to have my 6 o'clock, my 7 o'clock come at 6 o'clock. So, and then I darted out here once I was done about 6:50. I cut them short today. So, hey, I had to make sure I'm here today for you.
Glad you got here safely. That's good.
No problem at all. No problem at all.
Well, listen, I'm gonna get started because I know we've already. I don't want to take up all your time tonight, but I just wanted to know, because obviously I see that big B on your chest. I'm not gonna go to the high school right now because we don't go to the old high school. But I want to know is, like, what does being a Baylor Bear mean to you? How has it helped you through your life so far?
It's a great question. Growing up in Wylie, and this plays into Baylor, but growing up in Wylie, I always wanted to play for Coach Schaefer, and the Wylie Pirates. Of course, there was only one school back when I was there, and then always wanted to play for Coach Taft and the Baylor Bears, and then I wanted to play for Tom Landry and the Dallas Cowboys, but I got two out of the three, and so that was it. But really, my influence. I grew up on Hilltop, which is just down the road from the old high school where Burnett Junior High is now, and man, it was a fun atmosphere. We'd walk to the games, but 3 houses down from me, the Tibbles, that's where they lived, and Tibbles Elementary School is named after them. They had a grocery store, but they had three sons and a daughter. The daughter married a guy by the name of Neil Jeffrey, and Neil was the quarterback for Baylor in the 1974 their Southwest Conference championship team, and he was all Southwest Conference player. Went on to play for the Chargers and the Giants and the Oilers, and but Neil, of course, I was a kid. I was just a small kid, but Neil, we'd always, when he would come home with Sheila, we'd always go down and play football with Neil. All the neighborhood boys. Matter of fact, one of my birthday parties, I had Neil. That's what we did, man. We played tackle football with Neil, the all-time quarterback, and so that's what brainwashed me to Baylor. That's what did it. And so Neil, he is still one of my heroes today. He's one of the pastors at Prestonwood. Been there for a long time, but Neil. He stutters, and he played quarterback, which is, I don't know if you ever get a chance to listen to him. Sheila was a speech pathologist, so man, the Lord brought those two together. But it was good. But yeah, that's where it all began. But just thankful for my coaches at Wylie and coaches at Baylor. Really played, I would say, a big role in my life, and to try to do things with excellence. Coach Schaefer was the coach. Coach Schaefer is also a doctor. He has a doctorate of physics, and probably one of the most intelligent people I've ever met. And so he's one of these guys. I had a coach at Baylor, and Larry Fedor. He was down at Baylor, and he's been head coach at North Carolina and coached in the USFL, but he told me that Coach Schaefer's reputation was that he was worth just 6 points alone on the sideline, and so that's just the reputation he had. And then after Coach Schaefer left, we had Sam Terry. He also had a doctorate's degree, and he had a doctorate of English. And so having two high school coaches who are doctors, that's pretty impressive. And
A
so
lot of smart guys on the sideline. My high
yeah.
he wasn't
Yeah.
One time about coaches, man.
Yeah, so I think from that point, just seeing just the pursuit of trying to do things with excellence, and then Coach Taft at Baylor, and Coach Smith, Scott Smith, he's one of my coaches. He was a secondary coach. He played at Baylor with Mike Singletary, and then he came back and coached. Probably the most intense individual I've ever been around. Very disciplined, but man, he'd push you. And so, I think those are, and man, I had a lot of other coaches too, of course, that played big roles in my life. But Wylie, we were fortunate to have great coaches who invested in young men, and so same as Baylor. And so I was really blessed to have those men, and really you look at guys that are my age, and at Wylie and at Baylor, and just the impact those coaches have made on our lives, even today.
Yeah. Wow, man, that's a great story. So, you got something?
No.
Oh.
So we just going down. We here, man.
Yeah, we just hanging out, man. So so like, what's a lesson, something that you can give to us about your experience playing football and what it can give to the youth that's out there now, and the younger guys that's looking to play the game.
I think just it's working hard. I think that the phrase, you play like you practice, and I think that really, when you step up to a different level from, when I was at Wylie, it was a 3A school, and we played some good competition, but it was nothing like stepping on the field at Baylor. Just the speed and the size of the athletes were it was a pretty big step going from a 3A to Baylor. It was a Southwest Conference at the time, but I think just working hard, in off season, but really going full speed. I think that really was the main thing that I learned going from high school to college, and just trying to, man, go full speed in workouts and give all you got. Now, that's what I tried to do. Now, I know that didn't always play out that way, but you played that, and you have bad practices, you're going to have a bad game. And, you don't put forth the effort on the field in practice, man, you're not going to be ready to play in a game.
So obviously, Baylor, like I said, I'm hearing it right now. Every time, Baylor's is a big part of your life. So what's some of the fondest memories that you had playing there? Some of those things, because like I said, we hear about the coach. I want to know about the on the field. What's some of those fond memories that you have?
Well, I walked on to Baylor and got on scholarship, and I think the fun part was going to places like A&M, and of course it's not anything as huge as it is now, the stadium, but it was great, and just a great atmosphere just to see all the three decks of fans, and in Texas, and going to play in places like that where, man, there's 60, 70,000 people. Floyd Casey, there wasn't but 40,000 on a good day. And so there wasn't that many people. I mean, it was a whole different game than it is today. And so, with TV and everything, I remember one time we came out after one of the halftime games, and there was hardly anybody on the visitor side. It was Utah State, and they didn't bring anybody. And then we were beating them, and so all the students had left, and so it was just sort of an empty stadium. But I enjoyed going to places and playing, A&M and Texas and those places like that.
I think some people felt like, I was when I used to talk about high school football, and I like being the weirdo who liked the away games. So like hearing
Mm-hmm.
that, it's kind of like you love going. I like going to places. I want to go in. I want a crowd to be silent when we leave. That was kind of one thing. I think.
You basically saying that you knew you was gonna go beat them.
Yeah,
so
that was it. That was it.
You just wanted to just
terrorize
the other fans.
That's
right?
amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, honestly, I loved it too.
When you're a competitor, that's what you want. You want to be able to compete, and the people who are cheering, you want them to be silent. So
I remember plenty days like that, especially when I was in college. I love those days. Yeah, real tough. Yeah. So your transition to broadcasting, right? So how did it all come to? How did it happen? Like from the University of Baylor, came back. I know a little bit about you too. So we like finance, and how did broadcasting kind of take its course with you?
Well, actually, I was a radio and TV major at Baylor, and so I was that was what my degree was in. Of course, back in that day, it was all. You slice the tape, you put it all together. It wasn't any digital thing.
I experienced that in my broadcasting class in high school. Yeah, so I know.
Yeah, so we did that. I had some of those classes, and at that time, I didn't feel. I went ahead and stayed with that major. I knew after that I was going to go to seminary, and so I went ahead and stayed with that same major. And there was a guy by the name of Frank Fallon, who was the voice of Baylor for many years, and actually he did a lot of Final Four games, the sideline, the commentator there. And man, he had an incredible voice, and so I took some classes with him, and I remember taking classes that the first HD TV, the high definition TV had come in, and Sony had come in and brought all these screens, and it was just incredible to see, just the color and going from, you guys remember, when I was growing up, I was the remote control, Derek, go change the channel. And get the rabbit ears. I don't know if you guys are old enough for that, but we get the rabbit ears.
Yeah, we're definitely
okay.
Rabbit ears.
And the lines on the screen. So, but yeah, that was pretty neat to see things like that. And at Baylor, a lot of those professors were involved in I guess the groundwork of bringing HD TV to life. But anyway, after that, really, I didn't really do much with that. When I was in Justin, I was the voice, the PA announcer at the Northwest High School. I did that for 10 years. And then when I came over here, there was a guy, Scott Harrison. He was doing the broadcast, and the guy who was doing the color was leaving, and he had asked me to do that. So I started doing the broadcast in 2007 for Wylie, and Scott did it for another few years, and really produced everything, did a great job. He's got an incredible voice. And then went through a couple of other guys, and then I don't remember how long ago it's been since I started. I guess I took over producing and doing everything for the coaches show, and doing a lot of those for the Wylie broadcast. And I don't remember what year that was. It may have been 8 years ago when that happened. And so it's been a good journey doing that. It's going from just doing the analyst, the color analyst, to producing it. Of course, takes up more time. I just watch film before and make notes and do all that. Now you making the spotting boards and contacting coaches and watching film and putting all that together, make sure all the commercials are in, and so it's a little bit more labor intensive than was before, but I enjoy doing that.
Yes, I am learning that part right now. It's definitely
Hi, I'm Shane with Restore Hyper Wellness right here in Murphy, Texas. I'm proud to say we're partners with Grindhouse Sports Training just next door in Wylie. Now, Coach Washington over at Grindhouse Sports Training has done a phenomenal job at not just building out a business in the community, being a pillar in the community, but also being an inspiration to the young, talented kids that he trains each and every day. Now, last year, Coach Washington started a podcast, a Grindhouse podcast. The links are below. I encourage each and every one of you to go check this out, listen to it, like it, enjoy it. Coach Washington will walk you through his personal experiences, what motivates him, what made him what he is today, and why he's so effective at being a phenomenal leader to these young, talented individuals. Check out the podcast. We'll see you soon.
Especially with the commercials and like podcasting, kind of has some of that thing. Obviously, not having the background, so I'm learning a little bit of that. So I'm it's good to hear that that is because a lot of the same things kind of go into it. So I guess my question, because obviously growing up here, going to school here, your kids being alumni of Wylie High, calling games, and I'm sure going to games, from being back in Wylie. What's some of your favorite games or favorite moments that you've seen through Wylie High football? I know that we had a few state championship run in the 2000s, things like that. So, what's some of the fondest moments that you've had with Wylie High football?
Doing the broadcast, probably 2008. It was the year Wylie played Katy in the state game. 2010 when Wylie was close to going to state game again. They played Denton Ryan there at SMU, and just had a chance to win. And they came very close. I think the other thing was just it was a whole different animal when my boys were playing, and so I tried to pay attention to them, watch them, and still do everything. Fortunately, I've got a guy with me. His name's Barry Probst. He does the play-by-play. He does a lot of different schools in the area as far as soccer and baseball. He does a lot of different sports with different schools, and so he's great because if I have a trouble on the broadcast with with it, whatever it may be, any technical difficulties, he just takes over and he can go and doesn't need me. And that was the same way when my kids were playing. Jackson got hurt a couple of times, and so I had to take calls from Coach Maxey, the trainer at Wylie, during the middle of the broadcast, and so just to get an update on what Jackson's doing, and so it was a lot different this year. I was able to enjoy more and make sure everything was working correctly on the broadcast without having the stress of watching the ball game and missing out as a dad. You guys know, you've had sons that have played, and you want to make sure you see what they're doing and be there for them. And so, but it was a little bit different this year with them not playing.
I had to tell Terrell a lot to stop filming and just watch the game and enjoy the moment, because he has fun. Like just enjoy it, they got huddle. You can go back and look at the film.
It took me a while though. It took me a while because I wanted to capture the moment at the same time. I wanted to be able to replay that back, but also get to watch it with my own eyes. And I want to say most of his junior year. I think I kind of started scaling back about his senior year where I was able to enjoy it. But man, you're trying to do both, and it's tough, man. I understand. I understand your pain. Yeah.
So I'm gonna transition here a little bit. I know Terrell. The ministry, getting into the ministry. I know you said earlier that you were going to go to seminary school, so you had already made that plan. But and having that calling from God to know that that's what you're going to do and what you want to do. When did you kind of feel that calling and know that that's going to be a path that you're going to take? And when did you kind of just like, I'm going to accept this calling, and this is going to be something I'm going to definitely strive for?
Yeah, I grew up as a pastor's kid, and so I always had that. I would say exposure. And when I was in high school, I felt that calling, and then I went to Baylor. My goal at Baylor, I was wanting to take Dell Hanson's spot. I don't know if you guys were around with Dell Hanson. That's what I wanted to do, is go take Dell Hanson's spot at Kent Lake. And so it was after that, I think after my freshman year, that, you know, heard that calling, you know, from several years before. And so after Baylor, I went to seminary in Fort Worth and got my Master of Divinity there, and served in a church in Justin for 12 and a half years, and then came to Wylie and served at a church here for 13 and a half years, and now been doing this and part of the Jal Dennis group in Wylie. I've been over there for over 5 years now, and so that it's been a good transition and a good place. And but we're right there right by the Wylie post office, and financial advisor there. And I still do a lot of pulpit supply for different pastors. There's a church back in 2023 was looking for a pastor, so I filled in there for, man, it was like 25 weeks, 25 Sundays. So it was a lot, especially during the fall, doing the broadcast and the work, and then preaching on Sunday. But it was good. It was good. And also do coaches outreach there at Wylie High School for the coaches, and so Bible study there. Been doing that for many years. Did a couple there at Wylie East when Coach Normandy was there. Had several coaches there. It's a great study, and just investing in those coaches, and you know, give them a avenue where they can, you know, study God's Word together.
And it's definitely good, especially, like I said, and I love to hear that, because branching out, I know a lot of people will, the school district, we want to see the school district shine. We want to see what's good for at one school should definitely be helpful to the other. So I know that, you know, just having that form and having those opportunities where coaches can go in and listen to the Word and learn the Word and things like that, that definitely is probably helpful for everyone involved.
But also tagging into that part is the coaches, also the kids, you know what I'm saying? So they be able to speak life into the kids and be those good leaders and guide those young men and young women into the right direction too as well. So I love that. I definitely love that.
Yeah.
So when you the financial world, right? So the financial wisdom that you have, like, how do you correlate that, or you bring your experience to that for the football aspect of things, but also for like your ministry? Like, how do you tie that all in together?
You know, I think just going back to football and really just trying to work hard and learn. You know, there's a lot of things that I still need to learn, but it's constantly a learning experience, just like with anything else.
Right.
You know, still studying God's Word. It's a constant thing. I've got a doctorate of ministry degree as well, and so, you know, you're still always learning. It doesn't matter, you know, what you're doing. You always got to learn. You always got to put forth some effort to try to do that. And you know, I fortunately have a good Trace is the owner of the Jal Dennis group, and so he is, you know, he's been a great teacher, and so I've got you know, good partner as well there. His name's Demond, and so you know, they're both those guys are good for talking with, but you know, taking all the tests and putting forth that same effort that you try to put forth in training in athletics. I think that's a parallel. I think the other aspect, as far as the spiritual aspect, is it's you know, it's just a discipleship in a specific area of finance, and so as you know, allowing the Lord to have his control over your finances as well. And I think that's just trying to, as if you're a follower of Christ, you know, you want the Lord to have that area, and trying to do things that honor Him. And so we do have some investments that we have that have been screened that really don't compromise people's integrity or their any beliefs, anything like that. And so we do have some of those for people who have feel like that they need to invest in things that don't compromise any of their beliefs. And so we do have some of those investments like that's good.
And like I said, I think a lot of people, when it comes to money, they try to. It's funny. I was talking to someone, and they try to separate it from Christ sometimes when it comes to money, and not realizing that all those blessings, those things, they come from somewhere, and just having that knowledge and being able to equate that to what you do on a day-to-day basis, I'm sure that it definitely helps. It helps yourself, honestly, as when it comes to the business, knowing that you're doing it with integrity and doing it the correct way and things like that. So, the Wylie Sports Hall of Honor, so. Let me ask this question because I was sitting there thinking. I always look at the little stone every time we go into the stadium.
Yeah.
And look at it and things like that. So, one, how did you become to be able to serve with that Wylie Sports Hall of Honor, and how important is it to preserve that history of Wylie Sports?
Yeah, so several years back, Coach Schaefer was actually the chairman of the board, and he had asked me to come on, and so I've been on that board for many years, and it really has evolved over time. I think it started in 1999, and with Coach Ball and some people from who grew up in Wylie, and just trying to really honor those who have really gone out and made some accomplishments on the athletic field. And so we I guess several years ago, it used to be like a 7-year waiting period after graduation. Now it's 5 year. And so what we've tried to do is we've tried to get make sure that we honor those who have graduated from Wylie East and Wylie High. And so we've got some that are on the board, Coach Christensen, and so he's part of that. So we just try to make sure that we get people involved in that, and we don't make sure we don't miss kids that have come through and make great I would say accomplishments on the field and even off the field. It's very impressive classes that have come through. Man, I was thinking the last couple of classes has been really heavy. I would say Wylie East, and so the girls soccer team from 2015 or 14, and man, just and there's a lot of impressive kids from both Wylie High and Wylie East, and just some played in the NFL, some are playing basketball in other parts of the world, and some have playing soccer and professionally. And so it's neat to see all the what Wylie High and Wylie East have produced over the years as far as athletes go. And so our next induction ceremony is February the 22nd there at McMillan. And so we have 4 this year. We have, and let me see if I have that. I know we've got there's 3 from Wylie High and 1 from Wylie East this year, and that goes back and forth, throughout the time. And this year we got Colby Harper, who played for Wylie. He graduated in 2010. We got Richard Edge, who graduated in 1982 at the old high school. So he graduated from there. And then Justin Young, who graduated from Wylie East, and then Coach Howard, who coached for Wylie from 97 to 2020. And so we've got a good group there, but that's, like I said, that's going to be February 22nd at McMillan. I believe it starts at 2 p.m. Anybody's welcome to come. And so anybody can come, and hopefully we'll have good groups. But we try to recognize them, and really being with two different high schools, it has. I'm glad you highlighted that, because it really gets lost in a lot of things just with two high schools. Before, when there was just a Wylie High School, we would do a big luncheon with the induction ceremony, usually on the Friday lunch of homecoming. And so people were already here, and they would come to the game and get recognized in the game. And now with Wylie East on, it's hard to do. We just didn't feel like we needed to continue with that, and that's why we went to a Saturday, and we moved it out of the fall into early spring, late winter, in February, just to make sure everybody can come. And so I think it's been good, and like I said, it's been impressive to have a lot of people through there, and I'm sure that we'll probably see both of your boys in there at some point in time, I'm sure. So
I was going to ask, can you kind of follow up with that? Like, is it just because do you have like a specific number of players? Because I know you just named 4 individuals here. Are we just doing like, okay, we're going to do 4 or 5, or are we doing teams as well? Eventually,
actually both. Like the 1977 state championship team was honored. The soccer team was honored. I'm sure, back in COVID, Wylie High School, their basketball team, they got cut short, but they were the Final Four, and I'm sure they're going to be. I don't think we ever talked about that, but teams like that are going to. I think they should be inducted. But really, you've got. A lot of impressive, like I said, a lot of impressive kids that have come through there, men and women, and it's just been neat to see all that, and just the accomplishments, and I do the MC and introduce them and read all their accomplishments, and I'm like, man, this is just impressive. Some of these kids, it is impressive. On their honors and what they've done, and so, but we actually have a new Facebook page, and I'm sure we'll start getting an Instagram page. But it's the Wylie Sports Hall of Honor, and people can go on there and nominate. There's a 5-year period, waiting period after high school, and then after that, we want to try to do a good job of getting coaches to say, hey, okay, here are some of these that have gotten all district or all state or whatever it may be, and make sure we keep their names fresh as we go through.
I'll make sure that we highlight that as well, because again, that was one of the reasons I wanted to ask that question, because we're both very big components of what goes on with the kids here at Wylie. That's why we do that. That's why we do this. That's why training. We want to make sure that the kids here and are shown in a positive light. And, they have something else that's locally that they can aspire to as well. They don't have to go out to Dallas or other suburban cities in order to get what they need here. They can get it right here in Wylie.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So, all right, I got a couple fun things. I know we've been here, been about 30-something minutes. I didn't want to keep you forever. Got a couple fun things.
Oh, you're good.
So, did you have any pregame rituals as a player?
Anthony, that's been a long time ago since I've heard it. So,
now, I know everybody remember their ritual, what they used to do before they go and play.
Yeah, man. That was I don't know if I had any pregame rituals. I really don't.
You just went out
Well,
and played football.
man, just other than chilling in your locker and just going through plays, going through different scenarios. But
You
he was
visualization.
locked
You was a
in, man.
visual.
He
You
was
was
locked
a
in.
visualize everything you was going to do before you go out there and play. I mean, that's a good thing. That's what it is.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah, you
hey.
just want to do that. I mean, as far as I think the Sony Walkman with the big
The
CD
yellow one.
that was
You got the
great,
yellow one
but
too.
yeah. So, but I,
Cassettes.
I do have a funny story coming back to you. And this I played in the 1992. It was the Sun Bowl, and I got hurt in that. And so that next year, I tried to come back. I tore my ACL, and I tried to come back. Well, I couldn't. And so I student coached that last year, breaking down films. We'd break down 3 game films of the next week's opponent. And even back then, we would put the plays down in distance in the computer. But I remember that year, 1993 was the first year that Mike Singletary was retired, and he came and did a pregame speech for us. And of course, man, he was talking like he was playing. I mean, his eyes were just big. He was fired up. And I think he just got mad because nobody was just like jumping through the walls and running around. I mean, everybody was sort of, I don't know if they were scared of him, but, he was just mad because no one was like running through or hitting their head on the wall. And when you were talking about pregame, it just came to my mind. And it was one of the funniest things. Well, not at the time. I wasn't going to laugh because he'd come get me. There's no way. No way I was going to do that. But I mean, he was intense. Those eyes when he was talking, man, they were just like he was playing, and so it was crazy.
Yeah. So question. I got one question.
Yeah, one.
So, like, you know how when you go to college, play college ball, like, who do you connect with? Like, who do you still keep in contact with from your team that when you played?
Man, I still got a good network of guys that I talk with. I mean, got one of the guys who actually was on staff. He was a head football coach here in Texas for many years, and when Coach Rule came to Baylor, he was one of the first coaches that he hired just to help him recruit Texas. And so I got another friend who's a gynecologist up in Stillwater, and his son played for Stillwater High School, got recruited by Gundy, and now he's a freshman, just completed his freshman year at this season there at in OSU. His son did, and so big old tight end, like 6'5", big old kid. And I got some friend of mine's attorney down in Houston, and a friend who lives in Austin. And one who actually sells those stones that you see, like the memorial stones, and that's who actually sold us those stones out in front of the stadium. But that's what he does for a living, and so I still keep up with guys from high school. There's a lot of guys that still keep up with. So, just the bonds formed with people from Baylor and playing sports here and growing up here in Wylie. Just those guys. So.
We always talk about the networking and all that good stuff, and that there, and I appreciate him asking that question. I had another question. We're gonna leave that alone. We'll talk about that last question. I was gonna ask you to assemble your Baylor all-time team, but I don't want you to leave anybody out because I don't want anybody upset with you saying, "Oh, you know what, you left me out. I left you off your spot."
Oh yeah.
So.
Well, I had the fortune, to see some guys that went on to the NFL, and Santana Dotson played for the Bucks and for the Packers. Albert Fontenot played several places. Lachey Maston, and let's see, I'm gonna leave some guys out. Fred Miller, played. I think he got a ring. And my freshman year, James Francis. It was his last year, my freshman year at Baylor. I went out and, of course, doing scout team, I went out and tried to block him, and I thought he took my jaw off. He gave me a little forearm. He played for the Bengals for many years, and man, he was a heck of an athlete. James Francis played for the Seahawks. So, I mean, it was Adrian Robinson, I think, played for a little bit. Darrell Gardner. Man, there's just a lot of guys. Yeah, I mean, you played with those guys, and it's just neat to see them. And man, you cheer them, and you're big fans of them. And so it's just there's a lot of guys. Kicker is one of the general managers for the Saints and scouting coordinators, and so it's neat to see those guys do well in those positions, and you big fans of those guys, and so pretty neat.
Yeah, it is. Well, like I said, I appreciate you. Like I said, it's been a short 40 minutes of us sitting here chatting and things like that. You got anything coming up down the pipe that we need to now? Obviously, we have the Wylie Sports Hall of Honor in February that's coming. Get anything else that we can help put out there, help promote?
Man, I think that's it. Man, just the Wylie Sports Hall of Honor. Like I said, we're just trying to get the word out. Go like it on Facebook page. We're trying to get different pictures out there and trying to make it. We've got some of the Coach Jordan and Coach Dameron really have come on and helped with that, and so they really push this to the. I'm not a social media guy, and so I don't do the. I'll get on there, but I don't promote things too well on social media. And so, but they've done a great job with that. And so hopefully the word will hopefully get out more on that and highlighting them. Now that Wylie and Wylie East are playing again, we're trying to highlight the classes at the football game. And so this past year at the Wylie East game, this class that I just mentioned was on the board at like after the first quarter or something. So anyway, just trying to draw some attention to that. So that's good.
All right. Well, whatever we can do to help with that promotion of Wylie ISD sports, we're definitely going to do on our end. Troy, you got anything else? You good, buddy?
I'm good, man. Just your experience. I want to ask you questions, like a personal question. Just your experience working with me and Grindhouse, and some things that your son brought back to you, and some great skill sets that you think he learned throughout the part of working with Grindhouse Sports.
No, I was going to say that before we left. I appreciate you and what you did with both my boys, getting them ready for high school ball. And of course, that injury bug got one of them, and so still getting them. But there was a difference there with them and their conditioning and their speed, and just talking. Jackson is trying to play it. Navarro got his ACL torn, and in August had the ACL reconstruction in October, and so. But when we were talking, he really. Spoke highly of Grindhouse and really attributes a lot of increased speed and really just his conditioning to what he did with you guys. And so, that I think that's good. I tried to do some things with him, and of course, as a dad, you don't know everything that somebody else knows, and so, as a dad, you lose that, and you could tell them the same thing, and they would, oh, okay, that's good, but
I get that
they listen.
I get that.
But anyway, I think that really helped him get ready for his high school. Both of them for their high school, and even now with doing his rehab, and I think that just he knows what he needs to do to get back to that level, and just the hard work he has to put in and what he has to do. And so I think it's just a compliment to what they do in high school, but with a little bit of extra emphasis on speed and agility, which is, I think it really helped him. So, man, I would recommend that to anybody who has sons that want to, work on their agility, their footwork, to go to Grindhouse. And so I think that would be a good investment for them. And so whether their son or daughter goes to play college or not, it still helps them to be the best they can be in high school.
But Derek, we want to thank you for everybody that's listening. We want to thank you guys for listening. Please like us, share it, subscribe us. We want to make sure that we get the content out there. We want to make sure that we get everyone to show up for the Wylie Sports Hall of Honor in February. We're gonna promote it on our social media to make sure that we can get the word out there and we'll be there. We'll make sure that we're there as well. So we can help promote it there. So for everybody listening, we'll thank y'all for listening, and we'll see y'all next time.
All right, thank you.
This is Terrell Washington. Thank you for tuning in to the Grindhouse Podcast. If you're enjoying our show, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our content on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube, and all other podcast platforms. Remember, you must grind and shine.